Okay, well, here's why that matters. Guess what? We have the nerd part of the show, which is from CoreLogic. The Homeowner Equity Insights from Q1 came in from 2024. Now, this is interesting because everyone saying that there was going to be a crash in house prices is currently still incorrect. We saw a $1.5 trillion increase of total equity volume in the first quarter of 2024 with elevated rates. This is so insane, which represents a 9.6% year-over-year change up.
And we're not even done with the year.
Up. That's in the first quarter, year over year. So we'll see what second quarter and third quarter with this summer season, summer buying season.
If it keeps the same, we double that, 18%, God.
But here's the deal. It says CoreLogic analysis shows U.S. homeowners with mortgages, roughly 62% of the properties, have seen their equity increase by a total of $1.5 trillion since the first quarter of 2023, which represents a gain of 9.6% year over year. Haters be damned. They are probably seething right now that this continues. The crash that it keeps getting delayed. It gets getting delayed and delayed.
But I think at one point you just have to realize that you're seeing the data, you're seeing the numbers, and I just think that you just want to be right.
Yeah, no, of course. And I understand. Well, because here's the argument. Yeah, a broken clock is right twice a day. Right? Okay. I've made that argument when it's worth arguing about something like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, this is representative of what we've talked about time and time again. Yeah. Even though the market interest rate is where it is, even though the house price is where it is, if you and me are out bidding on homes, and there's an investor also bidding on a home, how long are we going to hold our breath waiting for the price to come into the place we want it versus where the market has the price of the house at? Because the investor ain't waiting around. Investment purchases in 2023 were higher than they were in 22. And so far in 2024, they're higher than they were in 2023. So what's happening is the people that are in the game and have the cash and can buy the places are buying the places. And I'm not even talking about corporate-owned stuff. We covered that last week as well. I'm not talking about corporate-owned investments. I'm talking about 44,000 investment purchases were done in the first quarter of this year, which I think we extracted. So that's gonna be on pace for 176,000 investment purchases this year. That's 176,000 homes. They're not going to the primary occupant buyer.
Renters.
Right. So, I mean, this is indicative that if you're in, you're winning, and if you're out, you're on the outside looking in. And unfortunately, that really sucks. Yeah. Again, this goes back to how do we get people into homes? How can we help them cross the threshold of home ownership and get in? Because in places like here in California, they are seeing the largest equity gain still, even though there has been a mass exodus for all the reasons you want to talk about, even though it's a very expensive place to live comparatively. Yeah. People are still holding on to real estate in California, and they're winning because of it.
I mean, if you can invest in California, you're going to have a cash cow. And although it is going to be expensive, you're going to thank yourself, as years progress, because you got an asset in a place where, I mean, you see the numbers continuously go up. And it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. So if you're able to identify a property that you can invest with, or, just get your foot in the door in a property here in San Diego, whether it be a condo, a small property or anything, you'd be surprised how many people just want a small condo as well. The demand is definitely there. You just have to be willing to take these opportunities.
Yep. And there's also a flip side of this coin, which is negative equity. These are homes that where the owner owes more than the current market value. So let's say you owe $500,000 on your house and it's only worth $450,000. That's pretty upside down. That's a 10% upside down. That's pretty bad. But again, there's situations like that. The national negative equity, as a result of home equity going up and prices staying up and accelerating again, the national negative equity has slowed and gone down. Negative equity by percent is down 16%. And by number, it is 192,000 homes that came out of being in negative equity. That is a lot of place. Think about 192,000 homes.
We're back in green.
$192,000. Awesome.
We're profiting.
192,000 homes. That's a lot. I mean, think about you getting 100 buyers in. Okay, 100 buyers in 2024, and you still have 191,900 homes. So
where, please, we must.
Well, right. So negative equity is a bad thing in general. The fact that there's less negative equity, like by a lot, is actually bodes well for the housing market in general. And again, reinforces that prices are going to be where they're at, and they're only likely to stay.
And this is coming from CoreLogic, so we know the numbers are crisp.
So kind of despite the person's loan balance and the reason they got there and all that, I'm not talking about notice of default. I'm not talking about foreclosure and all that other kind of stuff. I'm just talking about the balance relative to the house's value. You have seen a significant decrease for the better, in this case, of places across the country where there's negative equity. And when you look at the chart, there's actually very, very few places that have, I'll say, a lot of negative equity. And by a lot, I mean like 3%, 3.9, 2.4, 3.7, 2.3. That's what's considered a lot in this.
And if you notice, they also mentioned, but if homes were to go up 5%, a lot of those houses come back out of.
Well, right, especially in these places where the amount of homes that are upside down is like 0.1, or I'm not 0.1, sorry, 1.1, 0.9.
They're one sales comp away from just coming right back in the game.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, okay, so we're kind of like in this snapshot of this report. In the snapshot of the report, yes, 192,000 homes have come out of negative equity, which is great. Also, yes, if there was an increase, then even more would come out as well. This just is it's both things happening at once. Equity goes up, negative equity, homes in negative equity go down. In general, this is great for the housing market. Yep. In general, this also means that some people, by being able to kind of ride out the market, have maybe put themselves where they were at the waterline a minute ago, and now they're like this, like,
okay, I can breathe.
All right, I got the water line's on my nose. Now it's on my chin. And it'll be my shoulders and my neck.
Oh, wait, it's coming back.
Yeah, so as long as they can keep making their mortgage, so for those who are, still making their mortgage payments right now, they're not late and all that kind of stuff. This bodes well for you. This is great, and I'm happy that we can talk about some of this in a positive light because. Look, man, we live in a city that got absolutely clobbered when 2008, 2009 happened, and negative equity was everywhere. Yeah. Everyone was mortgaged to the hilt, and there were so many homes that came back on the market because of poor lending practices and all that other stuff that happened in the collapse. And for me, having watched that firsthand, being on the front lines, I'm actually really excited and happy that this is reflecting the way it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to go against not go against the market crashers because I mean
it's just not happening right now. It's not happening in quarter one. Well, okay, one thing before we cut out on this is that when you go to page 9, there was 2 charts on it. Mm-hmm. At the very top there, it says California, 64,000 of equity earned on average. Massachusetts, 61,000. Yeah, but where did you just see California, Massachusetts in this show?
Massachusetts was higher with the incomes.
The income it takes to raise a family of 4 in Massachusetts and California, both in the top 5.
You're saying it's cheaper to raise a family of 4 in California than Massachusetts?
That's
what the data says.
Well, you have Massachusetts making its second appearance on the show, which
shout out Boston.
Yeah, it rarely does that, but in this case, where at the top of the show we're talking about the average income it takes to raise a family of 4, they were on the list.
Look at this one.
Insufficient data. That just means there's not enough.
Was that in Nebraska?
No,
Dakotas?
South Dakota. So, it's no surprise that when you look at the loan to value ratio, that the higher the loan to value ratio, the better it looks for negative equity. The other way around. I said that backwards. But the point here is that the fact that houses continue to increase in price and in value is actually going to work for the people trying to get in the house now. Even though the price is where they're at, this still is a trend moving in that direction without without recourse at this point. And I know that if you've missed other shows and you've missed us talking about this throughout the year, I'll just kind of put a marker in the ground right now. I'll put a flag in the ground and remind you that there's an investor who's looking to buy real estate right now at the current price or maybe a slight discount. They're not just looking for the dog down the road that's 40% off. They're looking at the property they can get right now that has land that they can build on so they can get cash flow. That is why I really earnestly believe that in our inventory weakness, the investors are going to show up. They're going to continue showing up, and they're going to continue building out places, which means you're either going to get in or you're not, and that is the threat.
I can definitely account to that. This year, I've spoken to more investors looking to take wanting to do business and get properties and take them down themselves more than any other year. And I want to say, and it's very refreshing because if the numbers make sense for an investor and they get their spread and they're going to be, profiting into the deal, it doesn't matter how much it costs as long as they're able to get their profit that they desire. And when I talked to an investor today, I was telling him like, hey, how's home prices in San Diego? Well, you're probably going to be, if you want a single family residence, you're probably going to start in the mid 700s. And start going up depending on the area. Yeah. And that's on the low end. And he's like, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. If we're able to have that value that's going to be able to have that flip and turn around and bring our investment back, then I don't care what it costs. Yeah. I have the money to be able to invest. I know that I'm going to get my money back. So for me, it's really just identifying that the deal makes sense and I get my numbers that I want. Yeah. And that's, a lot of the conversations I'm having right now. And it just, it goes to support that, the investors are going to show up and they've been showing up and they're going to continue to show up because if a consumer's not buying that house, the investor already probably has like 2-3.
And then what does that tell you about the sentiment of the market? Like they're hot on real estate. So if you're not hot on real estate, that's fine, but there's a consequence to that decision. If they're chasing it down and they're saying, hey, real estate is where it's at, and real estate's where I can park my money, park my effort and my investment for 5, 10, 15 years, well, that means that should mean something. You got to look through the lines on that and go, that means that they're actually banking that the market's going to be healthy for that long too, and I'm not. So there's a disconnect there at some point. Now, I'm not saying you have to agree with all investors. That's not the point. No. The point is that if they're seeing they're seeing benefits in the market now and a benefit to be in the market today for the future, then we ought to be looking at those same things for ourselves, especially if you're an aspiring homeowner.
Like, I mean, just to put it into perspective, like California gained $64,000 in equity since the first quarter.
Year over year.
Yeah,
since quarter one of 23.
Since quarter one of 2023. So that just means that the people that bought back then are now profiting.
They're up.
They're up from what they bought. And I could guarantee you that there was people in that position that were like, I'm not going to buy because I'm going to wait till it comes down. But it didn't. Yeah. And that's take that as an example that, you got to take that leap of faith, or you got to, make that decision. Or if not, you're just going to miss out on the train. But you just have to be firm on your decision. And truthfully, take the time to calculate the numbers. Reach out to people that that you can connect with, that are doing your deals, that want to do deals, that you're doing them. Yeah. And really crunch the numbers, because you're going to realize that there's opportunities out there. You just have to be positioned very well. Yeah. Or just have people that can guide you.
Yeah. And I just think that's going to be, it's ultimately where the ball's going to land is in your court. Is like, look, I'm either going to do this or I'm not. And I don't say this to be callous or inconsiderate. It's just that there's a lot of things you can say, you can watch, you can do online, you can comment on, but at the end of the day, if you want to get into a home, you got to qualify. You got to get into a conversation where someone who's inside the industry can help you get across the line of home ownership, hand you the keys, and let you get and cross the threshold of your own front door. Yeah, we would love to do that. We do this all the time. But the reason I'm emphasizing this so much on this particular episode is because I do have the sentiment that there are people missing out. They have been missing out. And now there's more regret in the rearview mirror than opportunity at the windshield. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anybody who's watching us, who's connected to us. I want you to win, and I want you to be able to advance your life financially by real estate being part of it.
No, 100%. I feel that, there's those opportunities out there, and I feel a lot of people get misinformed by what gets thrown out in headlines, and bad experiences. But in reality, there's a lot of people that I feel and I'm confident that are in a position to buy. They themselves just don't have that confidence because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know how this works. When we closed on the house for my buddy, he's like, bro, this is what you do for a living. You have to make these calls. You got to do this. Like, he's like, dude, like, he's like, thank you. I don't know what I did. You remember you calling me, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how much you're paying. Yeah. And in reality, a consumer's just looking at it. How much is it going to cost me? Yeah. That's basically it. But they don't see what's going on in between. But I feel that there's a lot of opportunities if you take the time to understand what your options are, create a plan, or just get to know more information about what you're able to do, and you're going to bring a lot of light to your situations.
Well, and I think about it, like, so I'm over here, I'm typing away as I'm listening to you say this. I'm thinking, like, just in this California part of the show, it's like, okay, so $64,000 average of equity earned since last year gets $5,000 a month, $53.33 a month.
You just got paid $53.30 a month.
Just round down to $5,000. Your house has gained, let's say, on average, $5,000 a month. Like, if I just came to you right now and said, hey, you're renting and you have this place, and next door there's a place you could buy that you can afford to buy, and every month it's increasing in value by $5,000. Like, you can't say that about anything else. You can't say that about your watch or your car. I mean, look, I'm sure there's a couple $1 million, $2 million watches that maybe they increased $5,000 a month. Maybe. Let's not go down that route. Okay, That's a rabbit hole. What I'm talking about is the house next door that you are renting next to and you could afford. If that's going up by $5,000 a month on average right now, then at some point you have to decide, what are you going to do about that? Because if it passes you by and continues to race ahead of you, and you're in the same job with the same pay every month, then at some point that actually gets beyond you, and now you don't qualify when maybe today you do. That's my final point. I'm not going to belabor it anymore. We need to wrap.
Let's do it.